Hi there. Today we're going to be talking about the 4 different operating modes for your AutoSlide or MultiDrive system and the corresponding 4 different sensor port inputs. This video is going to serve as a basic guide to how to operate your AutoSlide system in each of these 4 different modes. The first mode we're going to cover is the default mode, which is green mode. Green mode is best thought as a human-only mode meant for automatic activation via an inside or an outside input. So in this mode, if I activate the system from either an inside wall button or an outside wall button, the door will open up. Now any activation that I put into my pet sensor input or my stacker sensor input is not going to work to open up this door. Another thing to note is when the system is in green mode, the door is unlocked, meaning if I were to try to pull this door open manually, the door will open the rest of the way by itself. Now when it's doing this, which we call the open assist, you'll want to let this door close back up automatically. The next mode we'll cover is blue mode. So blue mode is often referred to as either a hold open mode or a stack mode for telescopic doors that have multiple panels. When it's in blue mode, by default, the door will open all the way and stay open. Now, if you have a remote that is set to the stacker input, which is right here on the control panel, or if you have a 4-button key fob remote, it'll be the right button, then you can start, stop, and reverse the door when it's in blue mode. So for example, I'll start closing it, and I'll stop it exactly where I want. So this mode is perfect for if you want to let the door just stay open all the way, or keep the door open just a crack to let some air in or out. Also, whenever this system is in a closed position in blue mode, the door will lock and stay locked. And this only applies if you have an eye locking system. The next mode we'll cover is red mode. Red mode is very similar to green mode in that it's meant for a human-only activation, so my pet sensor and my stack sensor are disabled. But whereas in green mode, both my inside and my outside inputs work. So if I walk up to the door from outside, the door would open. Walk up to the door from inside, press the button, the door opens. In red mode, only the inside sensor input works. So if I were to try pressing the outside sensor input, you can see that it's lighting up green, but nothing's happening. But if I press the inside sensor input, the motor will unlock and the door opens automatically, and then it'll close back up. Now another thing to note is the only mode that has open assist available is green mode. When the system is in red mode, the open assist is not going to work. Even if you don't have a locking system, you're still going to be feeling the resistance of the motor. So if you want to be able to operate this door manually with the open assist, keep the door in green mode. The last mode we'll cover is pet mode. So pet mode is meant for both human activation and pet activation. When it's in pet mode, both my inside sensor will work to open the door to a human with, my outside sensor will work to open the door to a human with, and my pet sensor will work. The pet sensor is programmed to its own special pet opening width. So even if I'm able to activate this system to open all the way with inside or outside sensor, I can still activate an pet sensor to open to a partial pet width. The stacker sensor, again, does not work in this mode. The stacker sensor input will only work in blue mode to start, stop, and reverse the door. Now, one final note when it comes to the open time setting. So even if I have my open time dial at the very maximum, setting my human activations to a toggle, my pet activation is still going to be on a timer. The reason for that is because a lot of our pet sensors work by constantly activating the system. And if you constantly activate the system when it's set to toggle activation, it's going to mess it up. It's going to try to open and close repeatedly. So as an example for that, I'm going to go ahead and put the system into pet mode. And let's just say I activate the system with a wall button. So right now my open time dial is at the maximum. I'm in pet mode, activate the system, opens up to a human width, and it just stays there. And if I activate it again, goes to close the door. But now, let's say that I have a dog or a cat wearing an RFID proximity tag. They approach the door, and they're constantly activating the system. So it could be something akin to me holding down the button like this. And then it's going to be a timer of about 24 seconds. So there are not separate timers for the pet opening with duration and the human opening with duration. If you have your open time setting at the maximum, it'll be a toggle open and closed for any human activation at the inside or outside sensor input, but it'll be about a 24-second timer for the pet activation delay before it closes back up. So it should be closing back up right about now. Now the next feature we're going to cover when it comes to configuring your AutoSlide or MultiDrive is going to be the open time dial. The open time dial controls how long the door stays open for after it's been activated to open from an enabled sensor input. Now this corresponds to green mode, red mode, or pet mode. So right now I have my system in green mode. I have my open time dial right here set to the very minimum, all the way clockwise. This means it is a 0-second delay. So if I activate this system, it's going to open up the door, and then it is immediately going to close back up after it hits its maximum open position. So now if I go to turn this dial all the way counterclockwise, and then I turn it back down just a little bit, so it's not at the maximum, but it's almost at the maximum, then this is actually going to be about a 24-second delay. So if I were to activate this system right now, it's going to open, it'll wait 24 seconds, and then it'll close back up. Now again, if you can have this at any point in between the minimum or almost the maximum, then you can have it set to whatever you want. It could be 15 seconds, 10 seconds, any duration of time. Now if you have this at the very maximum setting, then that becomes a toggle activation, or you can also think of it as like an infinite delay. So if I activate this system to open, it's going to open up, and then it'll just wait until a second activation for it to close. While it's in the open position, if you have a locking unit, it's also going to keep this door locked open. Activate it again, and then it goes to close the door.